It's very late, I must start. Imam, you have the floor if you can offer some prayers, please.
Thank you, Chair. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman Rahim Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina as-siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta alayhim. Ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. Allahu allazi ja'ala lakum al-ardha qararan was-samaa'a bina'an was-sawwarakum fa ahsanu suwarakum wa razaqakum min tayyibat zalikum Allahu rabbukum fatabarakallahu rabbul alamin huwa al-hayyu la ilaha illa huwa fad'uhu mukhlisina lahu ad-din alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin rabbana atina fid dunya hasanatan wa fil akhirati hasanatan wa qina azaban nar subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifuna وسلام على المرسلين الحمد لله رب العالمين آمين.
Amen. Shukran, Imam Jallo. Bishop, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Gracious and eternal Father, we thank you for the past month of April, for seeing us through from the beginning of it to the very end of it. And we thank you for ushering us to the beginning of another new month, the month of May. We continue to give our sittings here in the TRC under your direction, your protection. And we continue to pray for the witness that will appear before the commission this morning, that you will grant the witness the boldness to speak the truth. Grant the commission the discerning spirit to discern between truth and falsehood. And we continue to pray for the population, the diaspora, and the international community as well. That, Lord, we know the interest they have in the TRC, that they should allow the due process to take its proper course. And at the end of it, you will reward each and everyone accordingly. This we ask through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Bishop Wadiko. Council, I believe we are continuing with our focus on the justice sector institutions. If that is the case and you're ready with this morning's witness, please proceed.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Oh, I should say good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, yes, commissioners, yeah, and members of the audience. Yes, we still continuing with investigations into the justice sector institutions. And I'm pleased to announce that Mrs. Hadidande Jabi would lead the next witness. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fowl, Lead Counsel. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and Commissioners and the audience. May the witness be brought in, please, Mr. Osha.
I, Patrick Gomez.
I, Patrick Gomez,
Do swear that.
do swear that
I'll speak the truth,
I will speak the truth,
the whole truth,
the whole truth,
and nothing but the truth.
and nothing but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Witness.
Good afternoon.
Welcome to the TRC.
Thank you very much.
As usual, we like to have interpretation during the hearing. Can you tell this commission, would you prefer Wolof or Mandinka?
I am more comfortable speaking English language.
You will speak in the English language, but we normally do interpretation
you mean the
for the
interpretation?
audience.
Wolof, maybe.
Thank you very much. Interpretation booth, may we have Wolof, please? Mr. Witness, just to bear in mind that since we're going to be having interpretation, you will have to give a few minutes between my questions and your answers so that we don't talk over the interpreters. Thank you.
Very well. Thank you so much.
Interpretation booth, are we ready? Welcome again to the TRRC, Mr. Witness.
Thank you so much.
And thank you very much for your willingness to come and testify before this commission today.
Seede bi ñu ngi la dalalaat te di kontaan ci yow li nga nangu pour ñëw teew fii tey.
During your testimony, we shall go through the following issues today.
Ci jamono ji nga joxe say seede fii nag yi ma lim si ni moom laa bëgg ñu waxtaanee.
You shall tell the commission about your background, including your educational background.
Di nga wax commission bi yaay kan ak fi nga jaar ci sa wàllu njàng.
You shall tell the commission about your appointment into the judicial service.
Ak wax commission bi tamit biñ la jëlee liggéey ci bunti àtte bi.
You shall tell the commission about the atmosphere under which magistrates worked under the Jammeh regime.
Ak ci yan anam la àttekat yi doon liggéeyee ci ron nguuri Jammeh.
You shall tell the commission about the relationship that existed between the bench, meaning the magistrates, and the executive.
Jokkoo bi nga xam ne nag moo nekkoon ci diggante àttekat yi ak njiiti réew mi.
And the executive, we mean the government of Yaya Jammeh.
Te suñu njiit yooyu nag mooy ñi nga xam ne ñooy nguur gi ak Yaya Jammeh.
We would like to hear about the reactions of the executive
dañ bëgg a xam li nga xam ne noonu la kilifa yooyu daan defee.
under the direction of Yaya Jammeh.
ci ndigal loo xam ne mu ngi daan bàyyeekoo ci Yaya Jammeh.
On decisions and judgments
ak li nga xam ne moo di jël ndogal ak àtte.
which emanated from the courts.
nga xam ne daf daan bàyyeekoo ci àttekaay bi.
In particular, the magistrates' court.
surtout béréb bi nga xam ne mooy àttekaay magistrate bi.
In which the said government under Yaya Jammeh had interest in.
nga xam ne nguur gi ci ron Yaya Jammeh ñoom aajo woon nañ ci lool.
You shall tell this commission about the reason why you were transferred from a normal station magistrate to a roaming magistrate.
ñu waxal tamit lana tax ñu dal di la toxal ci magistrate boo xam ne benn béréb laa toog di àtte ñu dal di ko wécci def la na ngay wëraalu ci sa wàlli àtte.
You shall also discuss before this commission the encounter you had with the NIA.
nga wax commission bi tamit jokkoo bi nga xam ne dox na sa diggante ak NIA.
Meaning the National Intelligence Agency.
mooy National Intelligence Agency bi.
After discussing those issues, Mr. Witness,
buñ waxtaanee lii yëpp nag ba pare seede bi.
I shall transfer you back to the chair and the commissioners
dinaa la jébal nag chairman bi ak commissioner yi.
for any questions they may have for you.
bu fekkee ne am na luñ la laaj ñu laaj la ko.
After that, you shall be given the opportunity to give any closing remarks you may have.
bu loolu yëpp weesoo nag bu fekkee ne am nga yenn kàddu yoo bugg a gaaral dinañ la bàyyi nga gaaral ko.
In case you need to have any break during the sitting,
jamono ji ñoo waxtaan nag nii bu fekkee ne bugg nga am benn jamono booy noppaleku.
you should draw my attention to same.
mun nga ma koo yëgal.
And you shall be accorded the same.
bu ko defee nag ñu dal di la ko jox.
If you're comfortable and ready, we may proceed with the hearing.
bu dee pare nga nag mun nañoo commencé.
Yes, we may.
You can sit comfortably, Mr. Witness.
I am.
Good. Can you state your names for this commission?
wax ñu sa tur ak sa santa.
My names are Patrick Gomez.
maa ngi tudd Patrick Gomez.
Are you known by any other names?
xamee nañ la beneen tur.
I am only known by Patrick Gomez.
Patrick Gomez rek lañ ma xamee.
Can you tell the commission your date of birth?
di nga mën a wax commission bi kañ nga juddu.
I was born on the 27th day of February 1985.
maa ngi juddu ñaar fukki fan ak ñaar ci weeri February 1985.
Can you tell the commission where you were born?
di nga mën a wax commission bi fan nga juddoo.
I was born in the village of Ndemban in Fonyi.
maa ngi juddoo Ndemban ci Fonyi.
Can you give this commission your educational background?
nga mën a wax commission bi nag fan nga jaar sa wàlli njàng.
Yes, I attended St. Teresa's Primary School from the year 1992 to 1997.
ci atum 1992 ba 1997 maa ngi jàngee St. Teresa's Primary School.
And then St. Teresa's Junior School from 1997 to 2001.
1997 ba 2001 maa ngi nekkoon St. Teresa's Junior Secondary School.
And then I went to St. Augustine's High School.
ma dem nag St. Augustine High School.
From 2001 to 2004.
li ko daggee 2001 ba 2004.
Is it correct to say that you did your A levels at St. Augustine's High School?
ndax mun nañoo wax ne A levels yaa ngi ko jëlee St. Augustine's High School.
Yes, it was the equivalent, yes.
waaw noonu la tolloot.
You may continue to tell us where you got your diploma in law.
mun nga eggal nag wax ñu fan nga amee sa diplôme ci wàlli loi.
Upon completion of my high school education, I went to the Gambia Technical Training Institution, GTI.
bi ma jeexalee nag suma njàng ci Gambia fii ci grade ci njàngam ndaw mi ma dem GTI.
where I did my A-level and diploma in law.
fu laa def suma A-level ak diploma ci loi.
between 2004 to 2006.
ci diggante 2004 ak 2006.
I then got enrolled at the University of the Gambia.
mu jege ma dugg nag ci University Gambia bi.
In the year 2009.
ci atum 2009.
At the Faculty of Law.
di ci banqaas bi ñu jàngee wàlli loi.
I got my LLB degree in 2013.
ma am suma LLB degree ci atum 2013.
And in the same year, I also attended FSU, Florida State University.
ma defaat beneen njàng.
Where I did a one-year program in human rights and humanitarian law.
ma def benn at boo xam ne di jàng nag lu jëm ci wàlli yelleefi doomu aadama ak luwaay doomu aadama.
I did my bar training in the Gambia.
ma def nag suma njàngam lu aju ci wàlli luwaaya fii ci réewi Gambia.
In 2014.
ci atum 2014.
Yes, and I also did some other short courses whilst working for the Ministry of Justice.
def naa ay njàng yi tamit ci jamono bi nga xam ne maa ngi liggéeyal ministre bi saytu wàlli loi ak atte ci réew mi.
Basically, that's my legal education.
ci gàttal foofu mooy fala suma njàng em.
Mr. Gomez, just for clarification.
Mr. Gomez, pour leeral rek.
Did you attend the law school before proceeding to the course which you did in Florida State University?
Ndax jàngoon nga demoon nga ci jàngu bi ñoo jàngee mbiri loi balaa nga continue dem Florida State University?
I did that program just immediately after I finished my my LLB.
dama def programme boobu rek gannaaw bu ma jeexalee suma LLB bi.
Because there was a gap between the LLB and the BL.
ndax amoon na gap diggante boo xam ne nekk na diggante LLB ak BL bi.
Thank you for that clarification.
jërëjëf ci leeral boobu.
Can you tell the Commission what you did after you finished university and also your your BL course?
li nga mun a wax commission bi nag lan nga def gannaaw boo matale sa jàngum university ak sa BL.
Immediately I finished my BL.
gannaaw bu ma jeexalee suma BL bi rek.
which is the barrister program.
nga xam ne ni mooy barrister programme bi.
I had an appointment to work for the Judiciary of the Gambia.
ci la am nag tànneef liggéey ci liggéeyal Gambia.
Mr. Gomez, can you tell this commission whether you had to do an application to join the judicial service?
ndax li nga mun a wax commission bi ndax bindu woon nga pour mun a dugg ci liggéeykaay boobu nga xam ne ñoo amee wàlli àtte bi.
Yes, at the time I sent my application.
ci jamono bi nga xamee ci laa yónnee suma bindu boobu.
To the CJ's office, which is Chief Justice's office at the High Court complex in Banjul.
ci office Chief Justice bi ci Banjul.
And I was called for an interview.
ñu oo ma nag pour laaj ma.
And I was appointed as a first-class magistrate.
bu ko fee nag ci lañ ma tànn def ma magistrate di àttekat.
It is therefore correct to say that you're telling this commission that you were hired based on your qualifications.
Bon nga wax commission bi ne boo gisee ñu jël la liggéey de dañ sukkandiku ci yow sa xam-xam.
That is correct.
And that you were found to be a fit and proper person to actually hold the position of a magistrate.
Gis nañ ne yow yelloo nga pour ñu jox la place pour nga nekk àttekat.
Yes, because in fact, when I finished my bar, it was not my first choice to apply for the position of a magistrate. In fact, I was recommended by an unknown person, and we were just called, myself and one Babga Drame.
bi ma jeexalee nag luutoon suma indi rek pour ma commencé nekk magistrate waaye nag jamono jooju ràññee woon na man di benn nit ku ñu xamee Baboucar.
And then we were called at the CJ's office, and then we were made to understand that someone recommended us to apply at the lower bench as a first-class magistrate.
ci kaw loolu nag bañ demee ci office Chief Justice bi lañ ràññee ne daal am na koo xam ne nii moo ñu ràññee pour ñu nekk nag first-class magistrate.
Yes. Mr. Gomez, can you tell this commission presently what positions you hold?
Mr. Gomez, jamono ji ñu tollu ni yow ban ma xama nga yore?
I currently work as a senior state counsel at the Attorney General's office.
léegi nag senior state counsel la di lawyer yi nguur gi ci office Attorney General's chambers.
Thank you. So I'd like to take you back to where you said that you were hired as a first-class magistrate.
Dama la bëgg delloo gannaaw tuuti nag fañ la jëlee liggéey nga nekk li ñoo wax first-class magistrate.
Can you tell this commission about your experience when you were appointed a magistrate?
Di nga mun a wax commission bi naka nga daan li gisee sa liggéey jamono biñ la jëlee pour nga nekk magistrate.
I was appointed in 2014.
ñu ngi ma fal atum 2014.
And I was posted to Carnarvon Court.
ñu ebal ma nag ca Carnarvon Court.
Which was one of the biggest jurisdictions at the time, and still.
nga xam ne nag mooy place bi gën a yaatu nag ci buntu àtte yi.
And I did my induction with the principal magistrate at the time.
ma def nag suma njàng ci wàlli atte boobu ak principal magistrate bi ci waxtu woowu.
Mr. Gomez, can you tell this commission what the induction entailed?
So when you are appointed as a magistrate, regardless of your education, you are required to go under a training before as an experienced magistrate. So usually this training will entail you will sit with the principal magistrate while he is presiding over cases in the courtroom. So that you have first hand as to how cases are being dealt with in court. Yes, basically that's it.
Can you tell this commission how long you normally have to sit with the principal magistrate?
Usually it will last between 2 weeks to 1 month.
Therefore, it is correct to say that after that set induction, you now move to your own court.
That's
correct.
Wow.
Now tell this commission your experience in handling your own court in Kanifing Magistrate Court.
So in Kanifing Magistrate Court, we were about 5 magistrates at the time. But we were all independent from each other. And so when cases come in the morning, either criminal cases or civil cases, the principal magistrate at the time, who would have been the most experienced on the bench at the time, is tasked with the responsibility of assigning files to magistrates. And these files are assigned based on the class of magistrate that are available at the time. It's important to state that you have about 3 classes of magistrates.
Mr. Gomez, we will get to that in a minute.
Mr. Gomez,
whilst you were stationed at Kanifing Magistrate, who was the principal magistrate at that time?
The principal was one Mr. Your Worship Tabali, as hidden was. He is currently the Master of the High Court.
Master of the High Court.
Is he currently Master or Sheriff of the High Court?
If I can vividly remember, he was Sheriff at some point, but I think now he should be the Master of the High Court, I think.
You started telling us about the classes of magistrates that existed in the system. And it is still the system that exists.
That's correct.
Can you go further and explain to the Commission about the different classes of magistrates?
Yes, you have the first class magistrate.
First class magistrate.
You have a second class magistrate.
Class magistrate.
And you have the third class magistrate.
Class magistrate.
The difference is that based on the jurisdiction that they have over cases. Just to say that there are cases that can only be handled by a first class magistrate based on the education and the qualification. And the same applies to the second class and the third class.
Is it also correct that we have magistrates that are called lay magistrates?
ndax diñ ne mëna wax ne am nañ ay attekat yoo xam ne ñu ngi leen a wax lay maanaam amuñ xam-xam lool ci mbir yi.
Yes, these are usually, in fact, the third class magistrates.
waaw lii nag mooy lu ci bëri daal mooy ñetteeli classe yu magistrate.
They wouldn't require any formal legal training.
aajowuñ sax de ñu am njàng moo xam ne mu ngi aju ci wàlli loi.
Prior to their appointment as a magistrate.
lu jiitu na balan leen ay tànn ñu nekk magistrate.
But then, because of their experience in either government or any reputable institution,
waaye nag li aju mooy seen xam-xam bu mot ci leen liggéeyukaay ci wàlli nguur gi wala yeneen buntu liggéeykaay.
they are deemed to be qualified to administer over minor cases.
yelloo nañ nag pour ñu nekk ñoo xam ne ñu mot lañ ci seen wàlli liggéey ci wàlli àtte ay layoo yu ndaw a ndaw yi.
Thank you for that explanation. I thought it was important to actually explain further what you meant by third-class magistrates.
waa jërëjëf foog naa loolu jaaru na woon na nga leeral suñu waxee ñi ñoo wax third-class magistrate ñooy ñan.
You've told the commission that you were a first-class magistrate at Kanifing.
wax nga commission bi fii ne yow de first-class magistrate nga woon Kanifing.
Can you tell the commission what type of cases you handled?
ñu mun a wax commission bi na yan façon ngi case nga daan àtte foofu.
As a first-class magistrate,
niki first-class magistrate di classe bu njëkk.
I handle both criminal and civil cases.
danaa de amee tefaar yu mel ni yoo xam ne ni tefaar yi nit la ak diggante nit ak nit tamit ay layoo.
And my powers regarding handling civil cases
suma doole nag fi mu em nag ci wàlli atte boo xam ne diggante nit ak nit la.
would be limited to cases that are not above $1 million.
mooy nag layoo yi nga xam ne ni daal lépp loo xam ne moom lañ sa sisale rek du war a weesu $1 million.
And when it comes to a criminal matter,
bu ñëwee nag ci mbiri tefaar.
during my time we can handle all cases.
mun ci suñ jamono mun nañoo nag atte nag layoo yu yëpp.
Except cases that attracts let's say maybe treason cases or that attracts a death penalty sort of.
lu jëm ci wàlli atte boo xam ne ni daal yëfi suufu nguur la wala tamit yeneen wala rey.
At the time that you were a magistrate at Kanifing, can you tell this commission who was the Chief Justice of the Judiciary?
jamono ji nga nekk àttekat ci Kanifing magistrate ndax di ñu mun a wax kan moo nekkoon Chief Justice bi.
Yes, when I was employed, the Chief Justice was one Justice Chauhan, a Pakistani.
jamono boobu nag benn waa Pakistan di Justice Chauhan moo nekkoon Chief Justice bi.
I think the full name is Ali Nawaz Chauhan.
turam nag Ali Nawaz Chauhan la.
Yes.
And by the time you left the judiciary, was he still the Chief Justice?
Bang fa bàyyeekoo nag ndax ba léegi moo nekkoon Chief Justice.
No, because in fact, in the middle of my employment, he had already left because I understand he was sacked.
ci jamono bi nga xamee nag ci la commencé liggéey mu jéegi ci lañ ko la dem laa yëg daal ne dàq nañ ko.
Mr. Gomez, can you explain further to this commission what you mean by he was sacked?
di ñu mun a leeralal fii ci commission bi soo waxee ne dañ ko dàq lu mu tekkee.
The CJ at the time, I understand, had issues regarding some judicial decisions that were taken.
moom nag jamono boobu am na yenn dogal yoo xam ne ni jëloon na ko ci jamono boobu.
And it was common knowledge that the president at the time, Yaya Jammeh, asked him to leave the country within, I think, 48 hours or so.
te tamit ñëpp yëgoon nañ ne mu jege Yaya Jammeh daf ko wonoon rek ne ko daal di diirab ñaari fan daal war naa génn réewi Gambia.
So,
Mr. Gomez, is it correct to say that you're telling this commission that
ndax mun naa wax ne yow li nga wax commission bi mooy ne.
this said Chief Justice
Chief Justice boobu.
gave a decision or decisions
dafa am ndogal boo xam ne moom la jël.
or gave decisions
mu am ndogal yoo xam ne moom la jël.
which the president then, Yaya Jammeh, was not happy with?
ndogal yooyu mu jël nag neexutoon président ba woon Yaya Jammeh.
Yes, the facts we got at the time was that the executive in the name of the president was happy with him.
waaw loolu la nag ndax moo nekk ne jamono boobu ñi jiite nguur gi si turi Yaya Jammeh daal kontaanu ñoon ci mbir moom.
And because of that, he was given notice to leave the jurisdiction.
ngir loolu nag moo taxoon ba ñu jox ko daal ne na génn réew mi.
That's correct.
noonu la.
Can you tell the commission who replaced him?
mun ngaa wax commission bi bañ ko daxee na kan moo utu palaasam.
He was replaced by Emmanuel Fagbele.
ku ñu xamee Emmanuel Fagbele moom moo ko utu.
He's a Nigerian binational.
doomi Nigerian la.
Thank you for that. So now we go back to where you were a principal magistrate.
Principal magistrate.
I meant first class magistrate.
First class magistrate.
Tell us the experience you had in the year of 2015.
In the year 2015, I recall vividly.
ci atum 2015 maa ngi fàttaliku bu baax.
I was carrying on my normal duties as a magistrate.
maa ngi doon dem suma liggéey comme ni magistrate.
I'm going to court and administering over cases.
maa ngi dem court di àtte.
And then there was one day, which was my first experience regarding having problems while in the course of my work.
boobu nag mooy njëlbeen yoon bi nga xam ne ni am naa ay jafe-jafe ci suma jamono liggéey.
Mr. Gomez, do you remember the day and the exact month this incident happened?
The month, yes, it was on the month of March.
yaakaar naa ci weeri March atum 2015.
But not the exact day.
waaye nag xamuma nag bés bi ban bés la si.
You may continue to tell the commission what happened on that day.
So I was in court and then I was hearing cases.
maa ngi woon ci court bi di àtte ay leo.
And then I saw the principal at the time.
ma gis principal bi.
Your Worship Tabali.
Your Worship Tabali.
Just walked into my courtroom.
mu dugg si suma courtroom bi.
And he was walking towards me.
mu ngi dox jëmal si ma.
Where I sat at the bench.
ci fi nga xam ne foofu laa toogoon ci siis bi di doon àtte.
Would it be correct to say that your court sitting was then interrupted?
Yes, it was, but apparently it was a normal practice at the time.
waaw noonu la waaye dogoon nañ ko waaye nag nekk na loo xam ne ni daal du lu jombut.
At this time, how long had you been a magistrate?
Just a couple of months. I think I should have been on the bench for about 4 months or so, 5 months.
si diira juróom wala ñeenti weer daal yoo xam ne maa ngi woon ci àttekaay bi foofu.
Please continue to tell the commission what happened after he walked into your courtroom.
Yes, so he came in and then said he wanted to talk to me.
ci la ñëw ba wax ma ne mu ngi bugg a wax ak man.
He had a file in his hand.
mu ngi amee woon benn file ci loxoom yi.
And he informed me that that matter had to be transferred to the High Court.
ci la ma wax ne ma àtte boobu dañ ko war a toxal ci High Court bi.
And I said to him, well, that's fine, because he said he was busy, so he could not do it. He had other matters to attend to.
ci la ma wax ne boobu daal loxoom a ngi téye te am na yeneen yu mu war a def.
And so asked that let me just transfer the matter to the High Court.
ci la ma wax ne daal naa toxal loolu daal ci High Court ba di layoo boobu.
At this point, were you given any opportunity to read over the file or even understand the facts?
There
was no time at such to open the file and then go over the file. Because, like I said, I was in court and the case were ongoing.
Continue to tell the commission what happened when he gave you the file.
So when he gave me the file, I agreed to transfer the matter to the High Court. Because it was usual practice that whenever you have a case that the court doesn't have jurisdiction over, the file is either transferred to the High Court, depending on the nature of the case.
File bi foog ñu dal di ko toxal nag ci High Court bi mu ngi essesu rek ci atte bo tefar boobu nu mu toll.
Mr. Gomez, you just said something interesting. You said that was the usual procedure.
Mr. Gomez, wax nga fi lu am solo da nga ne loolu lu daan faral di am la.
Can you explain better to this commission what you meant?
Like I explained earlier on, we have jurisdiction over cases. And there's a limit to the power we have to administer over certain cases. So, for example, if you have a file that that can only be dealt by a high court judge, for example, if it's a murder case, we are required to transfer the file. And there are some instances where you can also strike out the matter. It depends on the nature of the file.
Mr. Gomez, can you explain for the Commission, why was it necessary for such files to be brought to the Magistrate Court first and not directly to the High Court?
ndax di ñu mëna waxal nak lan mo tax file bobu ñuy ko ñëkka indi ci magistrate court bi bala ñu ko yobbu nak ci attekay bu mag ba.
Well, prosecutors will argue that because of the 72 hours timeline given by the Constitution, for people or suspects detained in suspicion of the commission of an offense, that they should either be released conditionally or unconditionally. They will want to argue that it is much better to arrange them first before a magistrate. Who will perhaps either grant bail or deny bail and then transfer the matter to the High Court. But the overwhelming opinion is that that you only bring forward a case before a competent court. That you can only that if you file a matter before a court, it has to be the competent court. And so,
Mr. Gomez?
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt you. You actually meant a court of competent jurisdiction.
Yes.
You may continue.
That's correct.
You may continue.
Yes, I understand that there are people who are listening who may not understand some of these legal terms, but then apparently that was what happened. So, but then when I agreed to transfer the matter,
sorry, Mr. Gomez, before we get to that part of transferring the case, you've just explained an interesting scenario to the Commission, which seems to suggest that there used to be a lot of holding charges that were placed. And it could be seen to be an abuse of the process. Can you explain the holding charges that were being abused by the police and the system to this Commission?
Yes, in fact, at that time there were lots of holding charges.
Mr. Gomez, sorry, if I may also just add, and this was also happening to cases where the government, Yaya Jammeh, had an interest in.
That's correct, and it also became a general practice as well. Because eventually the police were accustomed to doing that.
And would it also be correct to say that accused persons were actually brought to court without representation at times where they could not get representation?
Yes, in fact, I experienced that more in my capacity as a defense counsel.
Tell the Commission about your experience.
Which one? As a defense counsel or at the lower?
As a defense counsel.
My experience as a defense counsel,
lima jànkuwanteet ne may lawyer buy taxawal nit la.
I had cause to defend so many accused persons.
Am na ay jamono boo xam ne ni damay taxawu nag ay nit ñu bëri ñu tuumaal.
During the time of the previous regime.
Ci jamono nguur gi ñu jox gannaaw.
One of the cases was the arrest of the 28 civil servants. I don't know whether you can recall.
Boo bokk na nag ci jàpp ak ñaar fukki nit ak juróom-ñett yi doon liggéey ci nguur gi.
Is it correct that this incident happened later in the years of like 2019?
2016,
sorry, 2016.
Yes,
2016.
2016, just at the later stage of the former regime.
Loolu ci atum 2016 la ci ay jamono yu mujj rek ci nguur gi fi jox gi ñu jox gannaaw.
I recall we will be in office in chambers.
Léegi fàttali naa léegi dinaa nekk ci office ci chambers yi.
And before you realize you have received calls that your clients are being arranged before a court.
Do teel a xam ba jamono boo xam ne sa client yi ñu ngi leen a yóbbu ci court bi.
And this will happen sometimes around 3 p.m.
Te lii dafay xew rek ci jamono diggi bëccëg boori ñetti waxtu ci bëccëg.
When you would have already retired back in chambers.
Ci jamono bi nga xam ne rek yaa ngi dellusiwaat ni ci sa place.
And then to drive all the way to either Banjul or Kanifing would be very strenuous and then almost impossible.
Te tamit daw dolli demaat benn muy Banjul wala Kanifing nga xam ne loolu dana jafe lool.
So you attend this commission. By the time you get there, the magistrate would have given an order to remand the person in question.
Yes. I will say by the time you have reached that place, perhaps the court has already taken a decision. Sometimes they are remanded. Or being given bail, whichever the case may be. But the idea that they will be arranged late in the day. In my opinion, would clearly violate their right to access an attorney and to defend themselves in a timely manner.
And to be able to make a bail application.
Yes, that's correct.
Wow.
Can you tell us whether these experiences were also happening when you were a magistrate?
Yes, some of my colleagues actually experienced that. When I sat on the bench, I wouldn't really allow such practices. Yes.
Therefore, take us back to the case that you were directed to transfer to the High Court.
Yes, let me just explain regarding the holding charge a bit. I think at some point there was a directive from the CS office regarding trying to discourage the practice of having a holding charge.
Jamono bu am nañ ndigal boo xam ne ni nag daldi woon na tukkee ci office CJ bi nag pour nag ñuy dàq nag lu jëm ci wàlli layo yooyu ñu teg place.
At some point it was seen to be an abusive process.
Mujjee gi daal dañ ko gisee rek ne daal dafa xëtt lu jëm ci wàlli doxalin bi.
But then to a large extent,
waaye nag ci mujjeental
some of the prosecutors who are making these decisions, actually some of them genuinely believe
ñi nga xam ne ñoo amee woon mbiri ate jamono jooju ñu ci bari daal mujjee gëm nañ ne
that it was the right thing to do.
mooy li nga xam ne loolu lañ waroon a def.
So when back to my time at the lower bench,
bu ma delloowaatee nag ci suma waxtu wi nga xam ne maa ngi nekkoon ci lower bench bi.
When I received this file from the principal magistrate,
bi ma jotee nag li file bi ci principal magistrate bi.
Before he walked and went back to his chambers.
But
before I could open the case and then and call the case for it to be transferred, my clerk at the time came to me and told me that I think you should rise and look at this file properly before you call the case.
ci la ma ñëw ne ma yaakaar naa daal da nga waroon a jóg bu koy fee nag ñu tasaare ndaje mi nga dol di seet kayit gi balaa ñooy commencé waat atte bi.
Because she had suspected that it was a file involving a shooting incident that happened the previous day.
ndax njortu na ne daal nekk na mbir moo xam ne nii ñi ci lu ci am na lu ci xew na ci jamono yi ñu jox gannaaw.
So I did exactly that.
ci laa def nag li mu wax.
I went back in chambers.
ci laa delluwaat ci suma chambers.
And I realized that what she said was correct.
ci laa yëg ne daal moom la mu waxoon loolu mooy dëgg.
But I said to myself, if the case is only to be transferred to the High Court,
ci laa wax suma boobu bu fekkee ne mbir mi dañ ko war a toxal rek ci High Court ba.
then that wouldn't be a problem.
kon loolu du nekk jafe-jafe.
Yes, and then I went back to court.
ci laa dolli delluwaat ci court bi.
Can you tell this commission what this matter was about? The case that they wanted you to transfer, what was it about?
So this case involved a shooting incident that happened the previous day. So the facts of the case were not contagious. They were not disputed by either party, both the defense and the prosecution. That the incident was that there was a taxi driver who had two passengers at the time in his car, a male and a female. And then he drove past a checkpoint, a military checkpoint. And he failed to stop. And so when they had warned him to stop, by firing warning shots with their AK-47, he still wouldn't stop. And so they chased the taxi driver, and then they started shooting at the vehicle. And the bullets.
Mr. Gomez, who was shooting? Who was shooting at the taxi vehicle?
It was done by the military personnel who were on top of the pickup at the time, chasing the taxi.
You may continue.
Yes, and so the facts were that they shot this vehicle, and then the bullets went straight to the windscreen, the back windscreen, and one of the bullets hit the victim, who was, I think, Yabinta Jaju, if I can recall well.
Was this victim a passenger in the said taxi vehicle?
Yes, she was together with one boy in the taxi at the time. So there were three of them: the driver, the victim, and another gentleman at the time. So this the bullet struck the head of the victim. And from the evidence you can see it pierced through the eye of the victim. And so the driver was arrested.
You may continue.
Yeah, the driver was arrested. And then charged for rash and or negligent act causing death. And 3 other minor offenses, which involve unlicensed driving and disobedience to a lawful order. Yes.
You may continue. Tell us what happened next.
So the case was called in court. I was already with the opinion that the case will be transferred to the High Court. But when the accused person was represented by one lawyer, Edward Anthony Gomez, the former Attorney General.
waaye nag ki nga xam ne ni moom lañ tuumaal bi mu ko taxawalee di benn lawyer di Edward Gomez di moo nekkoon ministre bi jamono boobu mosoon naa nekk Minister of Justice jamono boobu.
And there was a police prosecutor at the time who was one Mbalo, Mr. Mbalo, who currently works at the MOJ, Minister of Justice.
amoon na benn police bu ñu daan wax Mbalo moom itamit moo nekkoon prosecutor te di liggéey ci MOJ bi Minister of Justice.
So when the case was called, they indicated to the court that in fact they are ready to proceed with the matter.
ci lañ wax ne daal ñoom fi mu nekk nii pare nañ pour continuer ak àtte bi.
But at this time, you have already received a directive to transfer the matter to the High Court.
jamono yu fekk na jot nga ndigal ba pare ne dañ ko war a toxal layoo bi ci attekaay bu mag bi.
That's correct.
waaw noonu la.
What did you do at that stage?
jamono jooju loo def.
Well, at that time, I had no choice but to proceed with the matter.
jamono boobu nag ama dara lu ma mun a def lu may continuer ak mbir mi.
Because the information I received from the principal at the time.
waaye ndax ndigal bi nga xam ne moom laa jógee ko ci jëlee ci principal magistrate bi jamono boobu.
Was just between myself and him at the time, and so there was no other third party.
moom nag jamono boobu man ak moom rek la amul keneen ku ñu ñetteel.
And so therefore I could not just tell the parties that, well, I was informed that this case should be transferred, so it has to be transferred.
te booba mënumaa wax ñooñu ne leen mbir mi dañ ma wax ne naa ko toxal te kon dañ ko war a toxal.
That would have looked very unprofessional at the time.
te kon boobaa na dana nekk loo xam ne daal du lu mot ci liggéey.
At this point, just to make it clear for the Commission, does it mean that you had jurisdiction to proceed with this matter?
jamono ji nag pour leeral commission bi rek ndax mel na ne yow amoon nga doole pour def atte boobu layoo bi foofu sa place bi.
Yes, I had the jurisdiction to preside over the matter.
waaw boobu amoon naa doole pour jiite na atte boobu.
In fact, that was the main reason why I just had to proceed with the matter.
loolu nag moo taxoon sax ma waroon a continuer ak mbir moom.
Because we also as well transfer matters on two grounds, perhaps.
ndax ñun de ci ñaari dali rek mooy tax ñuy war a toxal layoo.
Because the practice at the time will dictate.
ndax jamono boobu li nga xam ne loolu mooy atte bi dana leeral ne.
That is either you don't have jurisdiction.
benn yow amuloo doole pour atte.
In which event you will either transfer the matter or strike out the matter.
ci foo xam ne ni benn nga toxal ko wala nga génne ko sa court.
Or that it is just convenient that the matter be tried at the High Court.
wallaay tamit nga xam ne ni dal na xel rek ne daal mbir moom nañ ko atte ji si High Court bi.
Yes, so in this case we had subject matter jurisdiction.
ci jamono boobu nag ci lañ am nag atte lu tëddaloo li atte boobu noonu.
In fact, we have subject matter territorial and personal jurisdiction.
ci loolu nag mooy ñaari fànn yi nga xam ne noonu lañ tudd noonu.
And so they indicate to us that they intended to proceed with the matter.
ci lañ ñu wan nag ne ñoom dañ bëggoon a continuer ak atte boobu.
And so the matter was just called for it to be heard.
ci lañ wax nag mbir ñu oote nag ne daal dañ ko war a atte.
Continue to tell this Commission how you proceeded with the matter.
eggalil wax commission bi nag naka nga mujjee nag ak layoo boobu.
Yes, so when the case was called.
jamono bi nga xamee ne dal dinañ oote nag pour ñu atte layoo boobu.
The accused was called to take his plea.
accused bi nag kiñ tuumaal ci lañ ko oo nag mu wax ndax nangu na liñ ko tuumaal wala nangu liñ ko tuumaal.
And I recall he pleaded guilty to two of the counts.
ci la fàttale ko ne daal ñaari bunte yi nga xam ne nii moom lañ ko tuumaal yëpp nangu na ko.
But they were mainly offenses in relation to the motor traffic offense.
waaye nag yim nangu mooy li nga xam ne nii mooy tuuma yi ñu ko teg ci wàllu dawalam oto bi.
These were minor offenses.
nekk na nag ay tuuma yoo xam ne tuuma yu ndaw lañ.
And so when that was done.
gannaaw bu mu defee loolu.
And I decided to adjourn the matter.
ci la xalaat nag ne dama toxal nag layoo boobu.
So as to decide what will be the most appropriate sentence.
ci la xalaat nag lan nga xam ne loolu laa ko war a àtte.
That was because of the fact that.
loolu mooy ndek mbir mi mooy.
At the time we were not very much familiar with those minor offenses which were the motor traffic offenses.
ndax jamono boobu nag ñun suñ xel motogutoon lu jëm ci wàlli tefaar yu ndaw yooyu ci wàlli affaire yi oto dawalam oto.
Because as a first class magistrate would have been dealing with much more serious offenses.
ndax jamono boobu first class magistrate foog si nga war a jëflanteeg mbir yoo xam ne nii moo gën a foor loolu.
And as such there was a traffic court at the KMC.
ndax ci jamono boobu sax am na traffic court boo xam ne mu ngi daw ci KMC.
So we would hardly have a case where we would have been dealing with traffic offenses.
But
since those charges were together with one count, which was a felony. Which was the rash and or negligent act causing death. A Trrc a 10-year imprisonment. I thought it wise to retire back and then advise myself better for sentencing.
Mr. Gomez, at this time though, had the accused person pleaded guilty to the rash and or negligent act causing death?
Jamono ji nak ndax fekk na ki nga xamne mom lañ tuumal nangu na tuuma biñ ko tek ne dawal ci ciagante go xamne mo waral bakani des ci ndax nangu nako.
I can recall the accused person only pleaded guilty to driving without license.
Ma nga fateleku dal kiñ tuuma mom lim nangu rek moy di dawal auto te amut license.
But he pleaded not guilty to the rash to that act.
Why nak nangu ci benen bi nga xamne mom lañ ko tuumal.
And also pleaded not guilty to disobedience to lawful order.
Tay tamen nak nangu tamen lu jëm ci wali ne dañ ko jox ndigal bo xamne ni daf ko baña dégg te lu and ak lu wala.
So we only had 2 of the offenses to deal with regarding sentencing.
Tay tamen nak kon boba nak ñaari tefaar yi nga ñu ko tuuma rek mom lañ déssé pour atté ko.
And the ones that he pleaded not guilty would have subsequently gone to main trial.
Tay tamen yi nga xamne ni yoy la bañ fox rek ñu dal di ko dugal ci mbiri atté.
Yes.
Continue to tell the commission what happened then after on that day.
Legi gannaaw bés bobu nak égalil wax commission bi la na ci xew.
So when I indicated to the parties, that is the IGP representative and the defense counsel representing the accused person.
Bi nga xamé nak ci la waxal nak ñaar ñi nga xamné ñoko sék moy kenn ki nga xamné mo fa téwal IGP bi ak ki nga xamné ni mo ton taxawal kiñ tuumal.
That the matter will be adjourned to the following day for sentencing.
Ne mbir mi dañ ko toxal ba benen bés bi ci war ko atté.
The prosecutor at the time rose and made an application.
Ki nga xamne ni mo nekkon police bi doon wara doxal na kayiti até yi ci la jog taxaw nak daldi sakku dara
that they need to see me in chambers.
Ne dañ ma bëgg gis ci suma office
before I adjourn the matter.
Bala ma toxal nak até bobu.
And I agreed to that.
Ma and ci lola.
I stood down the matter.
Ci la taxawala gum mbir mi.
And I went in chambers.
Ma daldi dugg suma office.
And I invited the prosecutor.
Ci la on ki nga xamne moy prosecutor bi.
And also called the defense counsel.
Ak tamen lawyer bi nga xamne ni mo taxawalon kiñ tuumal.
So that I will hear what they have to say.
Pour nak ma déglu ñoom tamen lan lañ wara wax.
And so the prosecutor informed me.
Ci la ma prosecutor bi di police bi wax yegal ma ne.
That he had received a direction that I have to pass a sentencing on the same day.
Ci la wax ne ma ci la am jot na ndigal ne dal dama wara atté lolu ci benn bés bi kérok.
At this point,
yes.
Did he tell you who he received this instruction from?
Jamono joju na waxon na la ndigal lolu ci kan la ko jëlé.
Just said from his superiors.
Mom daf ma rek ne ci ay kilifaam.
I understand that they work on command.
Ya xamna dal dañ dé liggéey ci comme ni nga xamé non lañ den topalante ay ndigal.
I also recall yes, go ahead.
Continue.
I also recall he told me that he is just merely conveying the message and not really forcing me to do otherwise.
Ma ngi fatale ko wax na ma ne man dama la agalé bataxel bi rek way na forcé wu ma la pour nga def lenen.
They seem to be worried about the message. Even the defense counsel was really worried about the message.
Dafa melni dal ñu ngi jaxlé won nak dogal bataxel bobu même lawyer bi sax mom jaxlé won na wali bataxel bobu.
And so I said to them, no problem, since that is the direction that you guys have received.
Mané ko amul ben jafé jafé comme que lool moy ndigal bi nga xamné mom nga jot.
I will abide by the directive.
Dana and nak ci ndigal bobu.
So let's go back to court and I will pass sentence.
Ci la ko nañ dem ci souf ma daldi dogal.
So Mr. Gomez, yes. At the time the conversation was happening in your chambers, did the prosecutor give any indication as to how the sentencing should be passed?
No, he did not, because apparently the prosecutor throughout the trial was really acting in a very professional capacity.
waxuñ ma ko de ne waa ndax jamono boobu ci àtte bi yëpp jamono boobu daal mu ngi dox li nga xam ne mu ngi dem ci liggéey bu mot.
At least to my knowledge.
ci suma xam-xam fi mu toll.
But the directive was that the judgment should be given, the sentence should be done on that day.
waaye ndigal biñ joxe woon daal mooy ne ndogal bi bés boobu lañ ko war a def.
That's correct.
waaw.
And is it correct to say that that was the first day that you had actually received this case file?
ndax mun nañoo wax ne tamit bés boobu mooy bés bu njëkk bi nga jotee file bi lu aju ci wàlli layoo boobu.
That's correct.
waaw noonu la.
Can you continue to tell us what happened when you went back to the court to deliver the sentencing?
egalil nag pour wax ñu léegi ba nga waxee ñoom ba pare ba delluwaat ci court bi lan moo xew.
Yeah, so I've asked them to go back to court and then I will follow suit.
ci laa leen wax na ñu dem toog ci court bi nag man danaa leen topp.
So when they went back to court,
biñ delluwaatee ci court bi.
I thought about the information.
ci laa xalaataan nag lu jëm ci wàllu bataaxel boobu.
Then I said to myself that I think this is a time for me to just make sure I do the right thing.
ci laa xalaat na ma ne jamono bii nag jot na pour nag ma def leen lii nga xam ne mooy war.
So I went to the courtroom.
ci laa dem naa ci court bi.
And then I still maintain my earlier decision.
ci laa continuer rek li nga xam ne moo nekkoon suma dogal bu njëkk.
Which is that I will still adjourn the matter for sentencing.
ci laa wax ne daal danaa dàq nag mbir mi rek ba beneen jamono pour nag ñu door a mun a def dogal bi.
And that was done.
tey tamit loolu laa defoon.
Mr. Gomez, as per your statement that you delivered to this commission,
Mr. Gomez, si kaddu yi nga xam ne moom nga binda joxe ko fii ci commission bi.
You have said an interesting statement in it.
am na kaddu yu am solo yoo xam ne wax nga ko ci.
You said at the time I decided to adjourn for sentencing the following day.
nga ne jamono ji nga xamee ne nag jël nga ndogal ne danga aj dogal bi ba ci ëllëg sa.
I knew at the time that it was a risky decision to make.
xamoon naa ne jamono jooju may def loolu day maa ngi def lu óoradiku.
Considering the situation we were in at the time.
ndaxte xamoon naa jamono jooju ci yan anam lañ nekkoon.
Magistrates have been sanctioned for decisions made in court.
Attekat yi am na yar guñ leen teg ngir ndogal boo xam ne rek jël nañ ko ci attekaay bi.
Please, can you explain to this commission what you meant by this statement?
ndax di nga mun a wax nag commission bi kàddu yooyu nga wax noonu lu mu tekki.
Yes, we were living at a time.
ñu ngi nekkoon ci jamono boo xam ne.
Wherein the environment at the judiciary was not really friendly.
te tamit suñ nekkin ci buntu attekaay bu jamono jooju daal neexut.
By that I mean there was no such of independence of the judiciary.
li ma min foofu moo nekk ne daal amul jamono boo xam ne daal attekaay bi mu ngi doon dox ci sago.
And in fact, this independence was threatened both externally and internally.
ndax jamono boobu sax day li ko xejamal ci biir la ak ci biti yëpp.
Externally by the executive or executive organs.
ci biti mooy ñi nga xam ne nii ñooy ñi jiite nguur gi wala ñi nga xam ne ñoo ci ànd.
And internally by the administrators we had at the time.
ci biir nag mooy ci doxalin bi nga xam ne moom lañ amoon ci waxtu woowu.
Who would want to believe that they had to do the bidding of the president or the executive to clinch onto their offices?
ci ñoo xam ne nii jamono boobu rek dañ daan bugg a àgg ci ànd ak ndigal bi nga xam ne moom la président bi daan joxe pour bu ko defee mu ñu mën a yàgg ci seen place yi.
And so time and again you will see some of our colleagues who would be called to Banjul to answer to the CJ regarding the decision that they have taken.
léegi nga gis suma nawle ñoo xam ne ni dañ leen oo ñu dem sa office CJ bi di chief justice bi ci dogal yi nga xam ne ni jël nañ ko.
And they will be struggling to try to defend and explain the reasoning behind their decision.
tey dana daan jafe sax pour ñu mën a dëgëral seen bopp nag ci dogal yi nga xam ne ni jël nañ ko.
That was just uncalled for because in the judiciary there is always the hierarchy of courts in the appellate system.
ndax ci wàllu yaate bi ni nga xam ne noonu lañ daan togalante su ñaay maqaama ak dogal yëpp ci jamono boobu.
And so we have always had the opinion that before we are sanctioned administratively, why not the parties, the aggrieved parties, applying or appealing the decision?
te tamit nag ni comme balaa ñooy tong yooyu ñi nga xam ne nii ñoo ko seq rek ñuy dal di d'appel nag seen dogal yooyu.
And I will also later in my testimony explain how some of our colleagues had been arrested and detained.
ci suma kàddu na danaa nettali fii anam yi nga xam ne suma yenn nawle ñun lañ leen daan jàppi teg leen benn place.
And some had to even run out of the jurisdiction. Because of the interference that we have received at the time. Yes.
So, Mr. Gomez, is it correct to say that you're telling this commission that at this time you were worried?
Mr. Gomez, commission
that the state, meaning Yaya Jammeh, had an interest in this matter. Hence why you received the message through the prosecutor.
Yes, because when I received the information from the prosecutor, who himself was also looking worried. And then had to make it very clear that he was only a conveyor of the message. And we were very worried at the time because we were very aware of the situation back then. And truly, if the information was correct, then it means that there is really a serious interest from the executive in the name of the president. And so it is just natural that one would be very, very worried.
Mr. Gomez, tell this commission what you did on that day, even though you were worried.
Mr. Gomez, waxal commission bi nak lo def degala jaxle won nga de way lan nga def.
I went back to court. Because I had advised myself that it would be wrong to pass sentence on that day without better advising myself regarding what the law was at the time. And so this may operate unfairly against the accused person. And I wouldn't want to do that. And so the safest thing to do at the time was to maintain my earlier position. So I went to court and then maintained my position that this case will be adjourned to the subsequent adjourned date for sentencing. And then that was exactly what I did.
Can you tell this commission what happened on the next adjourned date?
In the next adjourned date, I had already consulted the relevant laws. And then it was very clear that the offense was very minor. So I said to myself, since it remains to be, no matter what the facts are, it remains to be a traffic offense. And so I had to be guided by the rules regarding sentencing as per the traffic offense. And these were offenses that will mainly attract fine. And so I just sentenced the convict accordingly. If I recall well, it is a fine in default to serve a term in prison. These usually either $2,000 or $3,000 or so, around that figure. Yes.
Can you tell this commission what happened next?
So the two counts were already behind us. And so we had to proceed in full-blown trial with the subsequent counts. So the IGP called witnesses. They called the security officers who were allegedly said to have shot at the vehicle. I mean, they all testified. And also the prosecution tendered in court as well the autopsy report.
Ci kaw loolu nag li nga xam ne ni mooy bataaxel bi wane ne kooku liñ bind ne kooku dee na dal dinañ ko indi ci kanam court bi te dal ko fa.
And evidence was laid in that respect regarding what caused the death of the.
te tamit am nañ ay firnde li nga xam ne ni moo waral ne moo reylu kooku ki wax ne dee na ci.
So we followed the normal court proceedings regarding trial.
Ci lañ toftal nag li nga xam ne ni mooy sat anam yi nga xam ne noonu lañ dee doxalee mbiri àtte yi.
Mr. Gomez?
Yes.
Just for a better understanding for the Commission. At the second adjourned date, where you found it necessary that, where you found it necessary that the accused person was guilty in some of the charges before you. Did you reserve the judgment, the sentencing on that day until you heard the full trial?
I cannot recall. I think that would have been exactly what I did. Which would have been also a very appropriate thing to do. Considering the fact that he was also facing some other counts. And so to pass sentence may actually have an effect in the trial. Yes, but this happened 5 to 6 years ago. But I also forgot to state clearly that the issue of bail was discussed, which was very natural in a criminal matter. And I think that was one of, if not the only matter that I've denied bail. Because the accused person was in mile throughout the pendency of the trial. The reason being, considering the circumstance of the case at the time, I thought it was in his own interest for him to be in a place where everyone will know he is at.
Was it because of an influence or a directive that said not to grant bail?
No, in fact, there was no directive regarding not granting bail. This was a matter which involved shooting. It was really unprecedented to a certain extent. Even though there were certain incidents in the Gambia, but then I would say for us at the lower court, we wouldn't really have access to those cases. And there was great interest both in the public domain and the government interest as well. So in my mind, the safety of the accused person was paramount. And as counsel, if you look at the criteria to consider in granting bail, you will realize that it's in fact fundamental that if you think that the life of the accused person may be at risk when he's outside, it will be much more safer to deny him bail and pending the determination of the case. So I thought his life may not have been safe outside. So I denied him bail for his own interest.
So Mr. Gomez is correct to say that you're telling this commission that you were protecting the witness, so you held him in protective custody, in other words, from your actions of denying bail.
Dinañ mëna wax ne loolu nga def nonu ba téré ko pour ñu bail ko dafa melni dang doon aar koku nga xamne mom lañ tuumal.
That's correct.
Waaw non la.
And you have just told the commission that there was interest by the state in this matter.
Wax nga commission bi nak ne njiti rew mi amon na aajo ci layo bobu.
Yes.
And there was also interest for the public to know what happened.
Té jaadu won na tam pour nit ñi tamit askan wi ñu xam li nga xamne mo doon xew.
That's correct.
Mr. Chair, with your permission, at this point, I would like to show the witness a letter that emanated from the President's office.
Amna letter bo xamne nak chairman so ma amé ndogal ci yow dama ko bëgga won cédé bi letter bu bayé ko ci office président bi.
Yes. Go ahead.
With the permission of the commission, I would like you to read the subject of that letter.
The subject is incident report. And can I go through that?
You may continue.
It states that this to acknowledge receipt of your investigation report. On the fatal shooting of Ya Binta Jaju on the 7th March 2015. The report was brought to the attention of His Excellency the President,
His Excellency the President,
Commander-in-Chief and Minister of Defense.
Commander-in-Chief Minister
His Excellency pursued the report
His Excellency report
and directed that the accused be taken to court as soon as possible.
And it
should be impressed upon the judge
to
have the trial proceed without adjournments. The public should also be informed of what happened through a press release.
I think it
was signed by MLFK Jammeh for the permanent secretary.
Permanent secretary.
And addressed to the Chief of Defense Staff and also the Inspector General of Police, if I'm correct.
Chief of Defense Staff and Inspector General of Police.
Can you also indicate those who it was copied to?
It was copied to the Secretary General Office of the President.
It's copied to Secretary General Office of the President.
Permanent Secretary Minister of Interior.
Permanent Secretary Minister of Interior.
And the Solicitor General and Legal Secretary.
Solicitor General and Legal Secretary.
Thank you. It was not addressed to anybody in the judiciary.
I haven't seen that in the letter, I'm not sure.
But would it be correct to say that at that time, any message that got to the SG, which is the Solicitor General and Legal Secretary, it would automatically be transferred to the judiciary?
I wouldn't
use the word automatically, but apparently, yes, because in the letter, it is indicated that the President said that the matter should proceed without any adjournments.
The President
and so perhaps the only institution that can carry out that would be the judge or the magistrate at the time. Which was impossible to carry out.
Therefore, Mr. Gomez, may I ask you, was this letter necessary? Was it necessary to interfere in the judicial process?
Maybe to say, in fact, when it was necessary would be an understatement. This is a clear violation of the fundamental rights And also the principle that the judiciary must be independent.
And
not only independent, but absolutely independent. And so for the president to release or to release such a letter would really be an interference in judicial proceedings, which definitely is really a serious matter.
Thank you, Mr. Gomez. Mr. Chair, at this time, may we take the lunch break and continue when we return.
Thank you, Council, and thank you, Mr. Gomez. We will resume at 3 o'clock sharp.
Thank
you. Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.